Human evolution.
Oh wait!
assumes the
We've got
position.
we've got the different colours of caps as well. Bosh, bosh, bosh. Yes.
Yes. And you know what that means. Hi chaps, and welcome to episode 6 of the Nemcast After Hours. Just stealing it from Dom there, so we can't do it. Sorry, Dom, love you. But today we're back with Courtney.
I'm a stand-in because you're missing a guest.
Yeah, there was supposed to be Matt, but Matt has gone AWOL. He's gone missing. I'm just checking to make sure he's not sent me a quick message.
We love you, Matt. We love you. Come back.
Well, we did love you.
Now you have to deal with me on half a bottle of wine. That'll teach you.
Yes,
Yes.
good.
If it's not a full bottle by the end of it, then you're letting somebody down. Quick and simple.
So what's the subject of today?
So to start off, it's nice hat, bro.
Yes,
Nice
nice
hat,
hat.
Nice hat, bro.
Shout out to Invictus Morale.
Oh god, he's going to be here doing all these shout outs as well, Dom.
Of course, keep up that cringe. Keep up the cringe. Anyway, you were saying, so what's the subject?
Am I doing it right?
You're looking at
You're
me
gonna
like
have to edit
yeah.
that
Well,
shit.
you said you were going to say something, not me.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just sat there expecting me.
There's something, there's a topic, I swear.
Night games and how to run them.
Yes.
What
And why you definitely need night vision.
So anyway, well, let's cut back for an edit. So
No.
this will be an edit point.
No, there's
Nope.
no editing.
No.
This is roll. This
That's-
is roll from the get-go.
Nah.
Yeah, we're talking about night games, what you need, what you don't need. Take your carrots. Elliot, fill us in. What went on?
Just a lot of fuckery, to be honest. Some people had night vision. Some kids didn't even have torches. It was
Yeah. So
different time.
for context, we were at our sort of our regular site, our local as such, which is MIA Airsoft. A relatively young site, a well-established site as a land itself, but the company itself is relatively new. And they decided to run their first night game, and I was one of the marshals. You were a player, Elliot. Dom, you had
Yes.
to leave a bit early.
I did.
So I've played a couple of night games before. Elliot, you've played. Is this your first
That
one?
was my first ever one, and I loved it.
Dom, have you ever done a night game?
One a very long time ago. Very long time ago.
So I think we'll start with Elliot and what you found useful, information-wise, what kit you used, etc., throughout the night. Because you used my shitty old nods, one of our sponsor players, Greg, his decent nods, and a torch. So I'd love to hear those sort of
I also
perspectives.
got to try those. I don't know what the other
Yes,
guy had. But
he
they were quite
he
good.
had a set of jewels, some really decent quality jewels, and a thermal overlay. So you really had every level of night sort of equipment you could get a hold of. So what were your thoughts?
Fantastic. I mean, night vision itself is a lot more difficult than I thought it was going to be to use, especially lower, walking up to the higher grade, like, you know, walking around in Greg's ones, which were, I think he said Gen 2 or something. I don't understand what it all means. But yeah, walking around in Greg's was a lot easier. You could definitely make out the shapes and what you were kind of treading on or what you were going to be walking into a lot more than yours were a bit more fuzzy. I'd say you could still make out the shapes, but without the movement, it made it a lot more difficult.
Yeah, mine are sort of like Falklands War. I'm surprised I don't get cancer from using them kind of era. It's like having a breeze block strapped to the front of your helmet, and I literally had to get plates of steel, weigh out my night vision on some scales, and then cut steel and weigh it out, then put that in my counterweight pouch to make the helmet sit flat.
I do have a photo, and I'll send it to Dom for editing, so that you can throw them in, so that people can actually see what we're looking at.
Yep.
I've got a photo. I think I've got a photo in Greg's and in yours. So it's just very dark.
You went from mine, which were essentially the like late issue Gen 1, so they don't need IR particularly. You could get away on a well lit night.
Yeah.
So under starlight, you can get away without sort of the illumination. Is it IR illumination? But
Yeah.
in a proper dark set of woods with no, if it's heavily wooded, you'll struggle.
I mean, I was struggling towards the end of the night, even in Greg's ones, which are a bit newer.
Yeah.
Like, it got to the point where I was like, yeah, I can't really make the difference out between this tree that's, 5 meters in front of me and the one that I'm literally about to walk into.
Yeah, depth. I found depth perception is massively off with nods. I do think there's probably a price point to entry before your depth perception doesn't become too much of a problem without training. I will say, however, for most airsoft use, you're going to have to do some practice with them. So how did you find that chap with the jewels and the thermal? Because you briefly tried
That was just a whole different world. You could
it's
make
crazy.
everything out. And I mean, at one point, I literally just kind of decided, right, this time I'm not going to play. I'm just going to sit next to a tree, so I'm fairly hidden in the dark, and just sit there and kind of get used to this having only one eye, being able to
Yeah,
see.
because you ran
Basically, it was a
Greg's
bit,
mono for that game.
yeah, it was really trippy. But at the same time, I just kind of closed my right eye and went, yes, I can see everything through my left. That's all I need anyway. And now being able to, now knowing that he could only see me through thermal, which was really cool to look at, just kind of seeing a greyish outline to people, and then eventually if you could see their chest or kind of center of mass, you could see it was a bit more of a red. They were just, that was like walking normally. A lot a lot closer, I'd say. Like I couldn't quite see, as much as you'd be able to see with your naked eye in daylight. You could kind of, but you can make out in detail pretty much like a good 5-10-ish meters in front of you. You could at least see where you were walking and not have to worry, oh, I might trip over a rock that I didn't quite see.
Yeah, because you've not only got the sort of the green hue of night vision, but you've also got that thermal overlay, which gives you a bit more depth
Yeah.
to the, say, leaves. You can see the difference in temperature on the leaves that are on the ground, that sort of composting effect that causes heat from the soil. You can really see that detail coming through. And thermal is becoming cheaper. Night vision is becoming cheaper and more accessible, but you're still looking a price to entry about 1,500 quid for a decent mono at the moment, which I'm currently looking at, but don't tell the missus. Dom, what's your experience with night games, dude?
It was a long, long time ago. Didn't have nods. Had a torch. Did not enjoy it. Couldn't really see where I was going until I put a torch on. Fell over a lot. Walked a lot. Shot like 2 people. It wasn't a particularly fantastic game.
Where was that? When was it?
That was about 4 years ago. Back at Phoenix. And it was just one of those try it there for the evening. They stayed till a bit later. It got dark. You couldn't see without a torch. They said semi only, and it was fun. I mean, people shot up flares. That was kind of cool. But other than trying out yours and Greg's, that's my own real experience with night vision. I do have my OG carrots, so I can see in the dark always. Eat your veggies, boys. Be a man. Eat carrots. But yeah, other than that, I'd love to own night vision one day. I just keep buying other stuff irresponsibly. So yeah.
Now, thoughts on torches versus nods? Is there much of an advantage from your experience point, Elliot? Because that's quite a fresh experience for you, and you ended up running a torch by the end of it because Greg put his nods back on. I was walking around with mine marshalling for what they're worth, and you were rocking a torch on. I think it was your AK by the end of the day, or your XM. I can't remember.
AK, my baby, she was back. She was finally fixed. Thank you. But I'd say if you wanting to do the more sneaky approach, kind of wanted to be like you are in a movie, I guess is the best way to describe it. That feel of you can go off lone wolf and still take out 6 guys. They've still got no idea where you are because it's pitch black.
Yeah.
Yes, nods are cool, but if I'd have been a bit more prepared and I'd known about it a bit sooner in advance, I think I'd have just bought a couple of packs of glow sticks and just ran a torch and just had a lot more fun and probably made it a bit more of an enjoyable experience for everybody who didn't have nods.
What about strapping like 4 fuck off torches onto the end of your gun and just do like a Tarkov Power of the Sun build? Yes,
just blind everyone with it.
Now you're blind. I mean, I have no idea if it kills nods, if that's true or not. Who knows? But just funny.
No, so I'm going to scupper the terminology, and I'm not a technician for night vision. I'd love to learn. I'd really love to learn. I'd love to have a chat with someone who can teach me. That's something I want to master in the next few years. But as far as I'm aware, Gen 1 nods used to get sort of like a burnout on the lenses themselves from torches. The stuff from the early 2000s onwards, or that sort of era, as far as I'm aware, again, I might be incorrect, don't get that. So it's really a bit of a, you buy cheap Chinese stuff that's 50 quid off Amazon, then you're probably going to get it burn out. from a torch. But you're spending even 500 quid on a really shitty old set. They're more than likely going to hold up, I'd imagine. But that's not really my wheelhouse.
Okay.
I know my shitty old ones, which are they cost me 250 quid all in. They were about 7th hand or something obscene. They're sort of like a bino that goes down to a mono that you can manually adjust for focus on the front, and they don't burn out with light. So
There was enough rentals shining torches in everyone's face who had them, so
yeah.
we all
Now
came out from them.
that is something to note as well, because I've had a few games, a few night games, shall I say, where if you have a torch, yes, you can see really well while you've got the torch on, but everyone else can see you as well. This is the problem. You become a beacon. This is the main issue with running a torch over night vision. You also are painfully aware of that whilst playing the game, because you're in the middle of the field, you sort of taking a knee behind a tree somewhere, you light your torch up and you think, everyone knows now exactly where I am. I didn't necessarily shine my torch over them and see them, and your night vision, so your natural night vision, because your eyes are going to adapt to a dark room over the course of about half an hour, if I'm not mistaken. Now, every time you turn that torch on, it's going to fuck your natural eyesight up for your pupils dilating for the dark, that sort of thing. So the advantage of rocking night vision over a torch is obvious, because your eyes adapt almost immediately to the night vision, and you're not getting that sort of difference of adjustment in your natural eyesight. So that is a disadvantage of running torches. However, as a marshal, running a floodlight torch is obviously a bonus for me, because I'm in high vis, and I normally just get a flood, not a spotlight torch, but I'll get like a floodlight torch, if that makes sense, like an area of effect torch, hold it above my head, and then I'm lighting up the area around me, plus myself, because I'm in high vis, and I don't want to get lit up, because every twig snap you're aiming at it, pretty much.
What about giving away other players? If you're marshalling with a torch when you don't have nods, is that something you had to be conscious of? I'm not going to be pointing out everyone to everyone else, going, "He's over there." Whoopsie.
Yeah. Now, from what I found is, during night games in the woodland scene we tend to play in, I've only ever played night games at MIA, or what formerly Matlock Combat Games. There's a main road running down the middle of it, and that usually is a central point, and I suggested it to Pete, and we ended up running the last game over that main road, purely because there's a clear trackway through, so there's no obstacles for people to trip over. And what we do is put a cone at one stage and a cone at a second stage. So the attacking team has a starting point, which is their regen. They've got to knock down the first cone. When the first cone's down, that's then their regen. Then they've got to knock down the second cone. And then we just do a switcheroo to keep it nice and simple. Because some people didn't even fucking bring torches, which really should be mandatory to night games. But there's enough floodlighting around, just down the main track and around some of the village areas and some of the buildings, that if you stay in the lit areas, you can see where you're walking. And if you're with a mate with a torch, you'll get by. It's not pleasant, but you'll get by. So that sort of neatly ties us into, Dom, we'll start with you. What would you bring to a night game?
If I had infinite funds, I don't have no idea. I'd get something that I could at least
Let's
see.
say you can't afford nods or thermal, but you've got 100 quid to spend. What would you bring?
I'd pick myself up one of these, an O-light. Don't stick them in your mouth, obvious reasons. Yes, they get a bit toasty, but you know what? They're bright and they work. They come with a pressure pad, but they're more than bright enough. The run time for one of these is about an hour, 45 minutes, give or take, but that's a lot of lumens. They're just chucking out, and it floods the area. For 100 quid, you can pick up a decent torch. Yeah, it might get shot out. It's the risk of playing Airsoft. It's why you buy Vortex optics, not fucking slightly cheaper ones, or you don't stick really optics in
So
there.
you'd go with a premium torch.
Somewhat premium. It's not like surefire prices or sort of cloud defense sort of range. These are low end, slightly above budget, I suppose, torches. But at the end of the day, a torch is a torch. You're going to light up an area, whether it be Watson, that, or that peak setup that I saw that Saturday for the day. this young lad had his torch on a
Oh.
flipped aside, and do you know what? Fair play to him. I thought it was his magnifier at first. I was like,
Yes, let me just clarify for people who don't quite understand. We'll try and find the picture.
I've got a picture. I'll put it up.
Yeah.
It's that one young lad. He'd obviously had a holographic with the flip over magnifier that everyone sees, but instead he'd put the flip over part in front of the holographic, flipped it to one side, and put a torch through it, so he could lean forward and push the
Yeah.
torch, and it was in front of his holo. You know what? If it fucking works, it's not stupid, is it?
And he had a torch. At least he came
Yeah,
with one.
that's
Yeah.
exactly.
Did it even work though? Because I don't even remember any of them using torches.
Well, this harks back to my point of if you use a torch, you become a beacon, and it doesn't matter what team you're on. People are going to see a torch, and if it's facing towards them, you're going to get fucking shot.
Yeah.
And this is the big advantage of having night vision. Now, there was 3 of us there rocking night vision. Obviously, one of them was a marshal, which was me, as shit as they were. So there was only 2 people, one on each team, rocking nods, and it showed. It really made a difference to the gameplay, and we had to make sure the teams were balanced accordingly. Now, if we'd have put both night vision players on one team, it would have been a steamroll game properly. Because those 2 players with night vision could have just crept round the outside of the game. We even set like a distance where they could only move 20 metres away from the road, but still, they would have cleared up. They would have cleared up. Because they're just looking for slight movement and audio cues, and they
I
can
mean,
zap you.
we say that, we also did still get cleaned up because even if we didn't move, the guys still knew where we were.
Exactly.
Elliot,
Especially with the thermal.
did you
Oh,
use
yeah.
any sort of IR at all to aim any sort of lasers or?
You didn't
I
have
had
an
a
IR
little.
setup, did
I
you?
had a little go with Greg's. He had a IR torch on his on. I can't remember what gun Greg's got.
Oh, he had a. What was he using? He was using his MCX.
There you go. Yeah, I had a little go with that. It was it made it a lot easier to actually see. But obviously, at the same time,
You're illuminating
because
yourself to the nod player. Yeah.
the other nod player, although he already roughly
This
knew
is-
where I
it's-
was, he
it's-
can make me out.
It's a technological race, isn't it? Because if you're requiring night vision that requires a little bit of illumination in the darker areas, then all of a sudden the players who have more expensive nods that don't require that are a step ahead of you. This is the issue. So that a lot of people use IR lasers for aiming, because one thing you'll find with night vision is you can't get a cheek well to look down your sight or even trace where normally playing airsoft, it's not like real firearms where you're actually having to aim. Airsoft, you'll normally put 2 or 3 down on semi, and you can sort of shoot
Roughly
those
gauge where they're going.
gauge those BBs into the position you want to go, or you have a rough idea. With night vision, that is not an option,
Unless
realistically.
Hydra. So Hydras would be a good idea right then. Not just stick on any daytime builds.
The problem is a night vision optic. It's sat sort of out here from your face. I know, obviously,
Unless you want to be
I've got-
out here with your optic.
yeah,
at the same
and
time.
it's you've got to bring your optic away from your face quite a lot. It's not really viable. Normally, people run IR lasers. I'm sure there's other options, and please put them in the comments below if there is other options. I mean, someone like Tactical Waffles might be a chap to reach out to.
One of
Or
these.
you've got the Hydra,
the Hydra mount.
which I kindly printed for Dom the other day. But it's very much a technological race of who has the best kit. If you're getting into that ballpark, but if you just want to go with a torch and fuck everyone's day up, just go for it. The way I'd see it is the brighter, the better. The cheaper, the better, because its price to entry is not really a problem at that stage. So get yourself like a Watson, maybe even 2 Watson torches for 80 quid. And for the extra 20 quid, get yourself a shitload of spare batteries. And
25 quid off Amazon.
Yeah.
Watson
And
torch.
yes, Dom, I know you've said you've got your O-Light, but a young lad with 2 Watson torches and a big fucking pile of batteries will see you an extra 6 hours of gameplay compared to you, and with your O-Light, for instance. And that's how personally I'd run it. Now, another thing I want to mention is iPro. Mesh is not a good shout. You have to have clear iPro. Shaded is not an option. Coloured lenses, maybe. So orange tinted, you might get away with it, but you're still going to
No.
struggle.
My
Nice,
pits were really difficult to see through. And they've
nice.
only got like a slight yellow to them. As soon as it got a little bit darker in some areas, I couldn't see anything. It was just a blur.
Some nice clear eye pro will massively
Mm.
help on a night game, 100%. There was many occasion where I'd find a rental who's bought where they've just got the glasses like that, but it's mesh, and they were blind as a bat. Unless they had a torch in front of them aiming at the floor, couldn't see where they were going.
I
To the
felt
state,
bad for some of those kids, but at the same time, the guy who they had on their team, he played it so well. But I think because he said at the end he'd been playing for quite a few years, but he used it tactically. He was like, well, the rest of my team are blind. Let me be the eyes for them.
Yeah,
Right, boys,
no.
push up. He went up first, took anybody out that was there, then told them all to push up. Then all they've got to do is be careful where they're standing, and just aim for the voice. You don't need to see the person, just aim for that voice, and that way is safety.
Communication is very much key, but it's how do you go about it? So, Dom, how would you go about communication on a night game? Say you had a team of 10 and they were well versed in comms. Would you use radios or would you just
I'd shout, he's by that tree over there. No,
in the camo?
in the camo, the guy in multicam all the way over there. No, you'd use radios. Absolutely, that's a given. With an earpiece, not having it on full blast because you just making more noise, giving yourself away. That's how I would do it, I suppose, if we had that capability. But having comms is its own sort of thing, and that's something we're looking to get someone on next, isn't that right, Elliot? To talk about comms, chat about comms. Matt, you're sorely missed. Get on. We want to hear about radios. We love radios. I'm sure everyone else wants to hear about radios.
To be fair, I actually want to learn quite a lot about radios because I've never.
It's the topic that nobody can really tell you too much about. You can go to loads of different people in Airsoft and they'll tell you all
everyone knows
about
that the brand Baofeng or however you want to pronounce it. I don't know how the fuck it's pronounced. It's Chinese. And I have the one where you can choose the channels from 1 to 9 or whatever it is. The Marshall radios everyone fucking knows. You've got the Motorola radios. You've got some more expensive brand. But the go-to brand seem to be those Baofengs with the programmable digital ones.
Yeah.
And I know sweet fuck all about them. So that will certainly be an interesting and useful episode. Especially for site owners, especially if you can give us some details on how to program them. Because for site owners with Marshall staff and things like that, you can select a channel, dedicate it to them, and make sure it's ran really squeaky clean, especially with a good radio setup.
I mean, it could have changed the whole dynamic on some events. I mean, Rumble in the Jungle, it would have been a hell of a lot different if we could have had one of the game organisers. So if Lou could have just been able to get on a radio and go, right, you guys, objectives drop in here, instead of having to go, right, get your phone out, it's 2 o'clock, something's cracking off at 2:10.
I mean,
Snapchat this man. Yes,
there is something. There is something to say about phones over radios in Airsoft, but there is the inherent risk of. So with real steel and that sort of training, so like in the US, things like that, phones make sense because they're not getting shot out. And if they are getting shot out in the US, you have a fucking serious problem because you're getting shot. In Airsoft, it's more of a. It's a world of disposables, isn't it? Because your radio's essentially disposable. Because if it gets shot out, it's Airsoft. It's 30 quid. If you're running a £200 radio and that gets shot out, you've got a problem. You don't tend to worry about these sorts of things, I imagine, in real steel. This is something I'd like to perhaps get a hold of Larry Hastings for again, or someone in that world, because he might be able to guide us more appropriately on. Because I'm not sure how stuff like that translates over, and this is something that Matt would be quite useful to give us his 2 cents on.
Same with optics. A vortex gets shot out in Airsoft. You're getting that replaced under warranty. But you put an EOTech on that gets shot out, they ain't coming to help you. You're not getting that replaced. No way. But I think it's a good time for our shout out with one of our sponsors, Court. Elliot, if you do kindly the link below.
Boom.
Courtney, so what's the offer today? What's on deal?
So we still have, running up to the end of this month, the Warhead discount for 5%. So if you want to save yourself 5% at Warhead checkout on either their motors or their BBs, which are the only BBs I recommend, be it the bio or non-bio, including their Sniper weight BBs, use the code CourtneyM5 with capital C and capital M at checkout to get yourself 5% off. So it'll save you shipping or whatever it is, if nothing else. So that being that, let's get back to the podcast.
I mean, Dom, also, do you want to do the taste test of the warheads? Or
Yeah, I mean, I'll crack it back out
for
for you. So
Cue
today,
the meme of the monkeys
for-
eating those fucking... Do you remember that one
So
Greg
we've got-
made?
Warheads and BLS. So BLS, I find to be a bit more of a sour taste.
A bit saltier.
Yeah, so you take your... You go
Closer to the taste of cum.
yeah, definitely sour. I mean, I can't
You
eat
don't want
them
that.
all. I don't
You
want to
don't
swallow
want
them all. But, Warhead, if you're going for some Warheads, chaps, these are 2.8s. Other flavors are available.
Are they the bios or the non-bios? Because the flavour matters.
These are non-bios. These are standard 2.8s.
Are you
Sort of
vegan or
run-of-the-mill ammo. And, yeah, they taste like salty tears of tryhards.
Yeah,
Yes,
more of a
okay,
palatable flavour.
Yeah,
Some might say.
yeah. So, don't eat BBs, kids. Don't do it. I mean, if you want to do it, it's funny. But freak people out. Be the reason someone has a weird day. Be that guy. Do it.
Spit the BBs at people.
No,
Mid game. Mid game.
I can't stomach them. Right.
They're all gone now.
They're all gone. Yes. Eat your veggies, guys, not your BBs.
Yes.
That was such bad advice, Dom.
Eat your veggies, not your PPs.
Yeah, that advice from Dom. Eat your veggies, guys. You're not cool. Drink water. Eat veggies. Just do it. Just be grown up. Stop it. Stop drinking juice.
Yes, and also don't forget, if you eat BBs, the microplastics get in your balls. It's been scientifically proven now.
Yeah, they're good for you. They're great.
Get balls
Great.
in your balls. Yeah.
Right. I actually have something I'd like to share this week. So I have seen a fantastic paint job of something classical and something that's timeless. It never ages. So if I may share with my background with you now, gentlemen. So we have got this beautiful build. So this is the VFC GBBR found
brushstroke, yes, I approve.
in a nice bit of roadie baby poo. By the sounds of it, he's done it with Humbrol paints. There is a paint set dedicated to that you can get to do it. But yeah, definitely shout out to this guy, Christopher. For his absolutely beautiful paint job. Something we can all appreciate, a timeless classic, as always. So, chaps, what do you think?
Yes,
Paint
I
looks
approve.
fantastic. Get rid of that.
100%.
Does it make you pee hard?
Yes, needs a bit more wear and tear on it to give it that true, authentic look. But yeah, nothing that skirmishing won't fix.
No,
that's my 2 cents on it.
By the looks of it, this receiver is the standard receiver, if I'm not mistaken. So this is not the DX model, but nerd in me says that. Could be proven otherwise, but at least his fucking catch goes all the way flush there. So lovely bit of work there, Chris. Well done.
Not AK. Throw it in the bin.
It's better than AK.
It's a gentleman's caliber, to be fair.
It is
6 mil. No, in airsoft though, it doesn't count. But with real firearms, I do approve of anything that's not 5.56. I get bored to death of M4s.
Like a big battle rifle, something meaty, good girth. Get your hands on.
Don't mind a bit of history. Hence why I've got that. Why I've got this.
Yes, tell us about your not AK purchase, Elliot. What have you got?
Wonderful torch fixture you've got there. What made you decide to buy the XM177 anyway?
Tom and Nick. Hold on, get some camera focus back. There we go. It's just not one you see every day. I'm sick of going to an airsoft site and everyone from your rentals to your well-experienced boys, your Milsimers, whatever, have all got the same pretty much build.
It's either an M4 or a 416. Something to that accord. Yeah.
Yes, this is an M4. This is no different. It still has mags go in here and button here to release mag. But it looks nice. It's
got the retro vibe. That's the key.
I think I've decided retro is the way forward. Retro is the new future.
I think Greg actually keyed that phrase of sort of modern retro or whatever he calls it. Where
he always says modern optics on a retro gun.
Yeah.
Soup.
Just get an old school gun and modernise the fuck out of it in a tasteful way. Don't do it fucking awful, and you can really make it quite cool.
Does that one count as well then?
Where's the top cover?
Yes, where's top cover, Elliot?
Why? I build you these nice things and you take them apart.
Well, at least get the battery out.
Well, yeah. But anyway, it's very much a vibe of mine. I like to modernise that sort of retro shit, especially Cold War era stuff. Is a massive thing for me. I love Cold War era kit when you modernise it a little bit. But maybe that's another episode we can do another day.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
I think we are going to have to get you to do a full kit, like what you usually run on your game days, because like there's some photos of you, especially from NAF, not this year, year before. You with your what do you always say that hat is? Because as soon as I say
It's
cowboy
not
hat,
a
you go,
cowboy
no,
hat.
it's not a cowboy hat.
We'll go into it when we do my kit review. There's no point
Yes.
in doing it now.
this is special hats.
Do you
Yeah.
get some
Special.
bussing kits together?
It's the best kind of hat because it's made by child labour.
Edit that bit
China
out.
number one. China number one.
Fuck off. If anyone says, oh, I don't agree with that, you buy shit from China, fuck off. You're probably going to get something made by child labour. It's just the nature of the beast, I'm afraid. I don't agree with it. I fucking hate that shit. But if you buy stuff from abroad that's not locally sourced or UK made or US made or even European made, it's going to be fucking unethically sourced, isn't it? So it's just the way it is. But joking aside, it's an Amazon tarp hat. I'm a massive fan of Jurassic Park, and it was the closest thing I could find to an Alan Grant style hat without being super cringe. So that was the reason I bought it. And I wanted something a bit different. I know obviously now we all rock the nice hat bro things, but I still wear it because I'm bald and I sunburn very easy. So I needed a bigger hat.
Smooth. Elliot, how did your stock gun run in comparison to an upgraded rifle? And now you've got a stock rifle in your hands. How did you?
The stock XM.
Yeah.
is it?
How did you find that? How did you?
I mean, it's not completely stock. Technically, it still kind of is. Yes, I've only changed the rubber on it. That's literally it.
Marginal.
So what? It's a stock Cymer, isn't it? But what hot rubber
a
have you
SEMA
changed?
Platinum with now so I put a G&G green in it originally, and it didn't like the G&G green punch shoot. So I took it out, and luckily somebody on site had I believe is it a Macron, a yellow rubber.
Maple leaf Macron.
There you go.
60 degree.
Yeah, whack one of those in. It's near enough to what the FPS limit can be for 2.8s, so I was happy, and it performs. It performs incredibly well. The trigger responds when I want it to. I've run it on 11.1. It responds when I want it to. It's incredibly lightweight. It does everything that I want. It's got a nice rate of fire. It's not like a dickheadish rate of fire, which I would say is anything above like 30-ish rounds a second. I'd say if you're over that, it's like you don't need it, mate. Who needs that much rate of fire? How much are you full auto in things? Yeah, it's perfect. I love it. There's a few. I can't say it's perfect. Okay, I'll take that bit back. There's a few things on it that are missing, but I think I paid 240 quid.
Value for money. I had a go with it at the workshop the other day. It's not a bad rifle price for entry.
No.
You could drop a decent MOSFET in there and a brushless motor, and you'd probably be laughing. I don't know what the piston and whatnot are like. Maybe we could do a review where we go in there for its build, and we'll find out its first point of failure.
Until it breaks, it's not going anywhere.
Yeah,
that is the plan with it, to just run it to the ground. One, see how good Cymer are, because for me, I've only been playing for 2 years now, just over 2 years. And I've kind of always taken advice from you guys when it came to my AK. Courtney, you suggested ENLs, so ENL was what I went with. Absolutely love the thing. Sometimes I wish it was a little bit lighter, but it is what it is.
No, it's an AK. It's going to be heavy as fuck, or it's not worth playing.
Exactly. My first gun was a Spectre Arms 416, which on my first game day slightly fell to bits. So that was kind of like me on a downward spiral with Spectre, and I don't think I'll buy another. But everybody's always kind of hyped up SEMA and gone, oh yeah, if you're going to get your first gun, either get a G&G CM16 or go and get a Cymer M4 of any variation. So for me, it was kind of
I will say in Spectre's defence, I've had a lot of Spectres across my bench for upgrades, but not one broken. And they're incredibly good upgrade platforms, especially if you want like a 416 or a decent M4. They're a really good entry-level rifle.
The externals on them are really nice. Apart from the fact that they, for some reason, have to engrave their name on everything. It's like, can you not just put a sticker on it? Or
I don't know if that's every Spectre they do. I think that's some of the stuff that they haven't got trademarks on. One to watch though, and I think they're going to start popping up in the market soon. I know they're available at trade because I very nearly bought one. Is the Spectre
Oh, the
Is it
Spectre Primes. Yeah, yeah.
Prime? Yeah,
with a
because
brushless?
it
Those
comes
ones.
out the box with a Gate Aster 2. I don't know how good the Gate Aster 2 is. I know the Gate Titan 2 is mediocre at best.
You're not a Gate
Um,
fan. Take it with a pinch of salt, people.
No, I agree. There is a bias against Gate because I think they're overpriced. For it's a conversation for another day.
Yeah.
They
Well,
do the job for the money, but they come out the box with a brushless motor, which is a massive, massive thing. If you look at technology in airsoft moving forward, it's really one of the first of its kind with a brushless motor, and someone has to take that first step to set the bar. And then all of a sudden, other companies will start to follow, and maybe Timmy the Rental's first gun might be quite a good one. All of a sudden,
Well, they're up currently at Patrol Base. Other retailers are available for the whole sort of Prime series, and they are currently at 359. Now, 359 is a fair chunk, but when you're looking at 250, 260-ish for a Cyma Plat series, that extra £100, is it going to be worth it? You're getting an Astra in there, you're getting a brushless. Maybe it's a semi-different rifle. Yes, it's all the same sort of M4 shape. Just different rails, different front ends, and slightly different lengths, but all much the same. That's not a bad deal. That's not a bad deal. I don't think.
I'd for what they're selling for, I'd struggle to build one for that and make profit on it. If I was to buy a Cyma in, for instance, or even a baseline Spectre, and Spectre, sorry, not Spectre, get the Aster, get the brushless motor, fit it all, shim it, get a decent piston hop unit because they've got an upgraded hop unit from what I can tell, and do all that and turn a profit,
Yeah.
I'd be fucking struggling. So, yeah,
I think
not bad
we're
value.
getting to a point now where I think a lot of us are either saying, "Oh yes, I'd like something new as well," and I think to a point we should all kind of agree to get something cheaper, because I think we all know eventually they're going to end up in the hands of Courtney, and eventually ended up getting twiddled with anyway. But you've always said we are spoiled now. We've all got incredible rifles. We can go out; they're going to perform incredibly well no matter where we go. And I will say that has slightly humbled me using that, because I now don't look. I don't want to say I looked down on them to begin with, but I used to kind of look at some guns and go, that's going to be dog shit, because I've seen it come out of the crappy box.
You've got that stigma.
Yeah, I've got that stigma of it. It's a new rifle. It's not going to be up to a FPS limit. It's not going to be incredibly accurate because the barrel's going to be dirty and these kind of things.
What's the point? Just don't bother. Yeah.
What's the point? You might as well just go buy one, send it straight for upgrades.
Now, I did get to try a new rifle this week. Sorry, go on, carry on.
No, carry on. What did you use this week?
So now these have been out for ages. They're a dime a dozen. It's a TMMP7. I've never ran one, never used one. Yes, it's got a Goppin Magwell adapter. Speed soft is my life now, apparently. So you know what? A hot rubber change, no upgrade barrel. The rest of it pretty much stock. It works. And these are cheap. They're like 320. Mag adapters another 100. If you've got a HPA setup and want to have a look at a GBBR without breaking the bank, these are not a bad deal. And they work. They slap.
I will preface, the only problem is with those MP7s, a lot of the parts are made of aluminium, so the triggers everything wears very quickly.
Yeah, well,
so you've got to keep it's a disposable GBBR. That's how I look at them, unfortunately. Because
It's an upgradable GBBR.
No, it's not. If your trigger box breaks, I mean, I'm aware you can fix them. Is it the sleepy trigger or whatever they call it?
Yes, where it goes sort of dead.
Yeah, that you can fix it, and maybe one day when I get one across the bench, I'll do a tech tips on how to fix it. But for the most part, you have to ring around suppliers to see if they have any spares in. Now, the reason the suppliers get spares in is because they'll get an extra TM MP7 on the shipment, break it into parts, and that's their spares.
But
so
run that for a year. It dies £300.
Yeah,
that's not bad.
Yeah, you're getting value for money. But anyway, we're getting sidetracked. So I do agree. a brand new gun for everyone, or at least a stock gun.
I think in the new year, we're getting close to Christmas now. Hopefully, if anything, we could all say, "Oh, Christmas gifts." But no, getting something as a relative. Like when I first started, I didn't really want to spend upwards of £300-ish on my first gun because I didn't know what I was buying to begin with. Anyway, didn't know how it was going to perform. All the things that are new to you anyway.
Here's an idea for another episode. And we're not going to discuss it now, but if you were to buy a gun from new now, what would it be? So that's one for the next episode anyway, not now.
What do you mean by that, though?
So you were starting Airsoft from new, and you were going to buy a gun from new, and you didn't know a tech, say, like me or Neg or anyone like that, what would you buy?
Aries.
Aries, buy Aries.
Oh no!
Invest.
To be fair, I'd be very, very glad I wouldn't be your tech.
Do you know what? Let's all just buy an Aries. Fuck off Court for the week. Yeah, be like, yeah, all of our guns are broke. Go fix.
Yeah, I'll just say, here's a bin. Buy something else.
I'd buy an Aries Honey Badger with a
Yes.
Goppin HPA engine in it off
We'll
a
just
very
buy Honey
smelly man.
Badgers. Right, chaps. On that lovely note, is there anything else you'd like to wrap up?
No, that should be it for now. Yeah, the night game at MIA was fantastic. Thank you, Pete, for hosting it for us. It was a really good night.
Pete. It was great.
And I look forward to a few more before Christmas.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. I know it's been a bit of a lengthy one, but if you haven't, as always, give us a like, comment, and follow. And head over to the Nemtac main channel, where they've always got reviews coming up of sites, companies, sort of bits like that. So make sure you give them a follow. It's a bit more structured, a bit more organized if you want that kind of thing and some visually appealing men. So, yeah. All right, guys. We'll see you in the next one.
Right.
Cheers, chaps.
It's not great.
Android. Human evolution.
I love visually appealing men.